What up? All right, we are live, and hold on. I want to see if we. This is total random. I want to see if this works. I don't think. Okay, that was lame. I was trying to do like one of the little countdown videos, but the videos like never like work properly. So it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and just make sure that we are freaking live everywhere. I think we're live on everywhere. Hold on. Let me. Oh, I'm gonna try to get Instagram to work too.
All right.
So let's see. How was your day been, man?
Pretty chill.
That's
You
what's
haven't done
up.
anything,
All right,
which is
this
great.
is All
I
right, so
actually got some.
we're live on Instagram, but it's gonna look weird because we don't have like it like oriented properly. But I'll figure that out eventually. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying. Actually, I had time to get on the PlayStation today,
Oh,
so I
cool.
was happy about that. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, that game?
Mm-hmm.
How's
I
that
get
going?
like it's a good game. It's a good story or whatever. But once I finish the games or whatever, but I know like once I start playing Horizon Forbidden West, that game is so big. The year to beat
That game is
it.
huge. It's gonna take a while. It's a lot, and I'll be honest with you. It took me being a single guy living by myself, right? Took me a lot to. It was a lot. It was
Yeah,
a lot just to get through. So, good luck
yeah.
with that.
It's gonna be a while. I mean, once the baby's here and everything, I might have some time.
Yeah, you have a little bit of help with your daughters, right?
A little bit.
Cool. Well,
So
welcome.
yeah, episode
Yeah,
69.
man. Episode 69. Write in your own joke right there. Welcome to the Targeted Podcast. I
I
am
know what
Sahid.
I'm doing to
That
celebrate.
oh, hey, hey, hey. This is a family show. Okay.
Is it though?
Not really. Pause. Pause. Dude. Where's Omar when we need him? You know,
Right,
because
right, right.
episode 69, he'll be all over
This is
this.
his like thing.
This is his wheelhouse right here. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, welcome to the Targeted Podcast, episode 69. It's not that kind of episode.
No, not
Just like
yet.
to say, it's not that kind
Let
of
me stop.
episode. Not
It
oh
won't.
god. Horrible, horrible. But no, it's been a minute. It's not been a minute. It's been a week, so it's not too bad. But yeah, no, things has happened. So had the chance to go up to Nicholas's house yesterday. You have a very
Yep.
beautiful
Appreciate
house,
it.
beautiful
Thank
family.
you.
Um,
Thank
got
you
to
very
see the
much.
got to see the basement that you got going on there, the man cave. Poor
It's
poor
it's a
guy
work
still
in
has a
progress.
yeah.
We're
Poor
gonna
guy
get
still has like his Batman v Superman poster.
never going away. It's never going
I
away.
feel sorry for whoever has to walk in that. I'm messing with you. Um. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. No. But thank you guys for joining. Um. This wonderful evening. Sunday, and we got some things to talk about. We're gonna cover a couple of things. We're gonna cover, the Miss Marvel like show, right? That cover essentially the whole show. Give our thoughts on it. Let's take a little bit of notes. Like a couple minutes before. Yesterday was Ida B. Wells' birthday, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure we've mentioned her in our show before, but we're gonna mention her again.
Hey,
So
she deserves it.
she's a very important figure in which is telling because you see more statues of Confederates, like generals and configures of the Confederacy, and less statues of
Mm-hmm.
her who fought for freedom, right? For a lot of people,
Excuse me.
not just for Black people, but for like women's suffrage and freedom, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that's just something that we're going to talk about as well. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of like I saw this video of it's got to be like Scottish or something. Of the guy asking, "Is the United States a functioning democracy?" Right, and it got me thinking a little bit. And we've kind of asked this questions a few times before, but it got me thinking. And it's like, yeah, let's ask this question, right? Is the United States a functioning democracy? Right. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about Miss Marvel. So Miss Marvel finished up this week. Thoughts?
So I enjoyed again. So this is one I really enjoyed. Like it's like it was more family oriented, so I was able to watch it with the girls. They got into it. They liked her power, the light show that she was, was able to put on and whatnot. So it was a good watch. Now, did it add anything amazing to the Marvel universe? Not in my opinion. You know what I mean? And like it's a good origin story, I think. But the overall plot of I wasn't really. It didn't really quite get me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the history and the cultural references they had in the show, because it gave me the opportunity from that perspective. I do like that. But the show itself, it was okay. It was
Yeah.
okay. She had a
Okay.
nice little journey, and that was but I wasn't too into it really. It was more just like I'm just at this point. Some of the shows you watch just because you don't want with what's going on in the Marvel universe. They have so much material, you want to be up with what's going on, right? But yeah, it was okay. It was okay. I think the whole series I'd probably give it probably like a 6.5 out of 10, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 7.
Okay.
For a couple of episodes, but yeah. What do you think? Well,
Some thoughts. So, what do I think? I agree with your assessment pretty much. Like, there's not much I disagree with that. With what you just said. Like the last episode for me was a little bit all over the place. Where, like, is Cameron the bad guy? Is he the good guy? Like, what's going on here, right? Where like he just lost over his mother, and he's like, then he attacks like the DoD agents. Then he stops, and then it's like what are we doing on here, right? So
to go
it doesn't
full on bad guy, and then but
yeah,
I mean she talked him down too.
yeah, of course, but it's like it came out of
confusion, but it didn't really.
It came out of nowhere though.
Right. Yeah,
it came out of nowhere though, right? It was like at the beginning of the series, right? He was pretty much like, has a thing for Kamala and was against like what the parents was doing, right? And then all of a sudden, like the DoD attacked him and was like, oh, I'm now attacking these guys because I'm angry. And then he's like, oh, I'm gonna stop attacking these guys now. And it's like, what is going on? Like it really came out of nowhere. But outside of that, I mean, I thought the series is pretty solid. Like I think I was telling you yesterday too. It reminded me of Luke Cage a lot, in the sense that like Luke Cage is about as a hero to that community. Very much so.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yeah, very much that community, and how like you saw like the Islamic like community protecting her at the end, right? And they were all like kind of cheering and like in awe of like of the mess that was going on because the DoD was attacking them, then Cameron was attacking them, and then Cameron was attacking them, and did he kill him? I don't know. It was weird, and then like these guys were arrested.
She
and
killed
really
anybody. She was.
No, she didn't. I'm talking about.
She was
Cameron.
doing damage
Cameron.
control. Was it? How did you say his name?
Cameron or Cameron? Cameron.
Cameron.
It's wrong. Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Cameron. I was like, no, not.
Yeah. No, it's not it. Not Killer Cam. Not Killer Cam.
But yeah, so okay. Spoiler alert for everyone. So this.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention
Preview's
we're about to
over.
spoil. We're about to spoil the crap out of the series.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Go ahead, man.
But that piece at the end, the Bruno was like,
Oh yeah. Let's get to that. Let's get to that.
As it being a mutation.
Yeah. Let's get to that a little bit.
Huh?
Yeah.
I know they want to bring in the. I know they're about to bring in the X-Men and find a way to do it. So that's kind of their entry point. Like, okay, because they have to, they have to do something to tie it into everything else, right? So I mean, for it a little bit, because again, we are like I was saying before, we're not quite the direction that they're going now with all the material, right? We're seeing some of the characters that they're bringing in, and maybe they're trying to build that team. I think it's like the New Avengers, probably, or something. But
Young Avengers.
Young Avengers. Okay, I know there's the New Avengers, the Avengers. So,
yeah, there's gonna be a Thunderbolt series as well.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, we don't really know exactly what they're building to yet, because with before Infinity Stone was in like every other movie or reference to the Infinity Stone was in who we were building up with, but now you kind of don't, right? So
yeah.
But it looks like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we've been introduced to anyway. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of get into that too, because her origin story is a little bit retconned, right?
Right.
So she was an Inhuman. Her original storyline was her being an Inhuman, right? And afterwards, so we'll get into that a little bit. So let's talk about the Inhumans, right? And like what they were. So they are actually like the replacement of like the X-Men almost, right? So as you know, X-Men was the first group, and they were owned by Fox for a while. The movie rights are owned by Fox, right? So and then Marvel was like bought by Disney and whatnot. But a decision was made to not make any new X-Men characters and making new X-Men comics, because any new X-Men comic and character would automatically go towards Fox, right? And a rival studio that owns the movie rights, right? So what they did was like the Marvel execs were saying, okay, let's focus on the Inhumans, right? So we can kind of create this X-Men-ish type group of characters, and like not give our studio more like more characters to work
Right.
with, or benefit of rival studio. So essentially what they did, now that like Marvel has retained the rights of X-Men now, it looks like they're kind of retconning like the Inhumans, because the Inhumans like TV show didn't do very well like at all. So yeah, it was just terrible. So yeah, that's kind of where we are with that. So I thought that was actually a pretty cool like little setup for that, and I thought it was pretty interesting because knowing the X-Men's history, we talked about this a little bit yesterday too, right? Was that X-Men they were a metaphor for the civil rights era, right? With Malcolm X being Magneto, Martin Luther
Professor
King
X
was
being MLK.
Professor Xavier. Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of the reference points there. I thought it was a pretty interesting standpoint, like a pretty interesting scenario in the sense that you saw the DoD agents walk inside like the mosque again, not taking shoes off or anything, not respecting the culture, and like the second like they walked in, they're like, "Oh, here are IDs." Like it's not our first rodeo, right?
I thought that would read all of them.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, no. Well, it was also pointed out too that they went to like the mosque for safe haven. It's like this is a religious place, right? It's like we're supposed to be safe here. He goes, it's a mosque. Like we got everybody. This is like the last of us safe. We got everybody looking for us, looking at us there. So I thought it was pretty well done where they look at a persecuted people by the government, right? And it's very similar to kind of what the storyline behind the X-Men was, right? Where they're persecuting these people with powers, blah blah blah, and that's exactly how. I mean, that's essentially how that went. So it's a really good series in that aspect. I think the mess at the end of like who the bad guy was and just it's also just very paper cut villains. Is what happened.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what came out.
even that agency, right? I feel
Yeah.
like something or not, but
Damage
I feel
control.
like they just really get enough background on them, right?
Yeah. No, it seems like that woman. It wouldn't surprise me. So that woman's name is Sadie Deaver, and I think the Deaver name is kind of prevalent in like Marvel like canon somewhere. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see her again down the line, like going after enhanced visuals and like now mutants. We talked about like mutants in a second. I think it's hilarious how like Bruno can like analyze DNA. The guy's like in high school. He's analyzing DNA. I mean, it's a fun little thing. I thought that was funny, but yeah, that's.
I mean, you have guys in DNA. You have Spider-Man's friend who's like a master hacker, right? I mean,
yep. He's the guy in the chair. That's the guy in the chair, right? They all need a guy in the chair. One thing I thought was pretty interesting was that the two hats. So this is kind of a reference to like typical like MCU canon where whenever like one of the heroes needs to go into disguise, whatever, they just wear hats just to blend in, whatever. And I think the funniest joke for that to me was an Ant-Man, where it was like they were wearing hats to see like Professor, I forgot the
Hank Pym. Hank Pym?
Yeah, Hank Pym. But who's the professor played by Lawrence Fishburne? Like that guy. I forgot his name. He actually has a superhero name too. It's like
he was Giant Man.
Like or Black. It was Black something. I don't know. But anyway, the Michael Fishburne character, right? They're like, oh, no one's gonna notice us, and he goes, what are you talking about? We're just wearing a hat. It's just us going to a baseball game. That's what we look like. But it's all good. It's pretty funny. Something else I wanted to point out too, and I also want to talk a little bit about like the very last part of the series as well. Zoe Zimmer and Nakia Bashardar, right? So you saw at the end of the show where Zoe and Nakia kind of had a little heart to heart, a little bit, where they were about to plan to fight the DoD, and like Zoe came out and was like, "Oh, this is where I'm doing my TikToks." I'm like, what are you doing here? She goes, and like she knew that Kamala was like Miss Marvel and whatnot, whatever. Interesting story, interesting thing. So she had a heart to heart with Nakia, and it's a kind of a callback into a moment in the comics in the sense that she came out to Nakia since she has a crush on Nakia, right? That's the moment in the comics they didn't show in the MCU. But what I thought was interesting though was when she asked, why don't you like let everyone know that she's like not Miss Marvel but like Nightlight or whatever, right? And she goes, I don't think. I mean, she saved my life, and she should come out when she's ready, right? Which is a very interesting nod to her character, right? Being a member of LGBT community, LGBT plus community. I always get fumbled by the letters.
Yeah. I think you're missing. And it's a Q. It's a Q at the end too. LGBT.
Well, it's LGBTQ, but I say LGBT plus, but it's LGBTQIA plus. It's a long, it's a pretty long acronym, but yeah, I thought that was actually pretty interesting there. That she kind of has a little heart to heart. She says she shouldn't come out until she's ready. So it's a kind of an LGBT plus type of saying there. I thought was pretty cool. So outside of that, it was pretty cool. Let's talk about the last part too. The nega bands.
Oh, one
Uh,
other thing too.
yeah.
I did like the way that the explanation for her name came about, like with the
Oh yeah.
translation for her name and everything. I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty cool. Like that was dope. The bands.
Yeah. Yeah. No, let's talk about the nega bands. So that's what we think they are, right? So we think that's Kree Tech, right? And you saw like the ending scene that where she switched places with like Captain Marvel, right? So the power of the nega bands is kind of that, where they can just switch places instantaneously, or sometimes the recipient or that transfer you through like the negative like universe, or it could be like the Noor universe, kind of what they were trying to allude to, which I thought was like pretty interesting as well. But that could be like the Miss Marvel kind of tie-in, right? A little bit how WandaVision was able to tie into Doctor Strange of the Multiverse of Madness via the
Right.
Darkhold, right? So that could be like their tie-in. Outside of that, yeah, it's a pretty decent, it's a pretty good show. Um, one of the review like channels I was watching to actually made the same reference that I made in the sense that um, with the first phases of the MCU, like there is some direction in the sense that we knew we are all going towards this whole thing with the Infinity Stones, right? They're being showing up in different places at one time. We know someone's collecting them. That we're all that's gonna happen eventually, right? Um, what's happening? There's no real that kind of structure anymore.
Yeah.
There's none of that structure anymore, and the unfortunate thing is that it's I mean, I wouldn't say it's unfortunate. I would say you haven't watched Thor yet, but it looks like they really are trying to build this multiverse uh, sort of thing with realms and all sorts of other stuff. So, when you watch Thor a little bit, you may see a little bit of what I'm talking about. But that's what it seems like they're trying to do that, because you saw in Spider-Man with like the multiverse coming towards the MCU, right? And then you saw Doctor Strange them going out towards the multiverse, right? In this series, you don't really see any multiversal stuff, but you do see they do talk about realms in the Noor dimension. You saw a little bit of this in Shang-Chi with their realm and the multiverse and that aspect. So you're seeing that pop up multiple times. You see this again with Loki and whatnot as well, right? So
Loki season 2 been greenlit
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah, it's gonna
Seen some
happen.
footage.
That's definitely happened. You saw the footage?
Saw a little bit. Just
Okay.
just a tad. Nothing major. Just
Okay, cool. Well, but outside of that, I actually thought the series was actually pretty good. Just a little bit messy at the end in terms of who's the bad guy and all that stuff.
it served deduction.
Not a not a lot of direction there, but yeah. Okay, cool. What else we got?
Random tidbit though.
Mhm.
This is something seaside of things. I thought it was pretty interesting. So you know how Ezra Miller's been getting in all that trouble after they made the Flash movie, right? So now obviously they have to figure out, replace him with, and some fans have been calling for Elliot Page to replace him. You know who Elliot?
Oh,
he's in the
Umbrella Academy.
Which, so I was like, a little small though, a little small. Like I know the Flash isn't supposed to be like some big hulking, you know what I mean, dude or but on the small side to me, if it were me, because I like the show so much, it's fine. They need to get the dude that's playing the Flash on TV, just
I heard about that too.
replace him.
Yeah,
and make him the Flash. He's
I
killing
heard
it.
about
Been
that
killing
too.
it.
Yeah, I heard about that too, and I think he'd probably be a really good Flash. Yeah, DC and this their their selection with characters, man, or DC, what is it called? Cinematic Universe,
The selection of
DCCA.
actors.
Yeah, DCCU, excuse me. Yeah, yeah, they just not good luck. So hopefully they'll kind of wrap that up soon. Shall we talk IW Wells? So we're talking about
Let's do it.
we're talking about kind of how the MCU, or at least with Miss Marvel, showing a group of people that has been a marginalized group of people, right? That's constantly under surveillance and fearful of and whatnot. I think it's a good transition to Ida B. Wells. We've talked about her on the show, but if you don't know who she is, that makes sense because there's been an effort to kind of to hide the work that she's done, right?
Right.
And I think I was kind of making this. I was actually thinking about this earlier, like today. Like if you look at all like the Confederate like monuments, whatever, they're all like white males, right? Which is kind of telling the kind of people that these people like promote and like look up to. Well, so here's a woman who is obviously not a white male, but a black woman. Obviously not a white male, but a black woman. Yeah, no, but so Ida B. Wells was her birthday was yesterday, right? She'd been like about 160, I
Right.
think, right? Yeah, she'd been 160 yesterday. So what's fascinating to her is that I want to just give a quick little rundown of her story right quick, and then we can kind of talk a little bit afterwards, right? She was born into slavery, right? But was freed by like the Emancipation Proclamation. One of the founding members of the NAACP, right? She lost both her parents to yellow fever, the yellow fever pandemic, but her family was able to stick together thanks to her grandmother and whatnot. Like I said, founding member of the NAACP, and was an investigative journalist. So during the Reconstruction period, she was a witness to a lot of the lynchings that was happened, right? And how black people were lynched or black criminals were lynched while white criminals were not lynched like at all, right? And the disparities there. So if you want to know more about her, I suggest watching Amend, right? It's a TV show on Netflix. Episode 2, they talk about her a little bit as well, right? But again, she was extremely popular and was part of like one of the first black-owned newspapers. Go figure, like her press was destroyed by like a white mob, right? Because she was reporting the truth about like of lynchings and whatnot. But yeah, just a very, very powerful, influential woman of her time, and it's unfortunate that we don't have like statues of her, right? She's an extremely a huge figure in terms of the women's suffrage movement and just freedom for all, right? And like I said, a founding member of the NAACP. So I wanted to kind of mention that out a little bit. I think my Google, my Alexa was let me know like, oh, today's the Ida B. Wells' birthday, and I was like, oh snap! Thank you, Alexa.
So actually, since you were talking about speaking of statues, I don't know if you're aware or not, but they have posted the first American statue in the statue hall in the Capitol of
Really?
Mary McLeod Bethune. Placed like some Confederate. Yeah, she replaced some Confederate figure. but they have first person of color to be given the statue in that location. So that's pretty big too.
That's
I won't
huge.
say too much on it, but I mean, she was also a major figure. She was a presidential advisor. She was a founder of a school for young girls, turned into Bethune-Cookman University in Florida. So, well, it's beyond, it's past time that some of the Confederate figures Hall were taken down, right, in favor of more deserving individuals. So yeah.
By the way, shout out to BK. He's on. I didn't notice, like, I didn't see like his message roll up, but no, BK.
Yeah, the message didn't come up on the.
Yeah, they normally it's weird. So I don't know. I had to look at my on my actual Facebook thing.
Feed on your phone.
Yeah, I had to look on the feed on my phone. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, no, thanks for showing. But yeah, no, thanks for letting me know about that. Much appreciated, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, I try to bring in something, you know.
Bring in some education.
All right, so what's next?
What is next? The last thing that we're probably gonna hit up today is kind of what I saw as a YouTube video. So or Instagram video. So I actually did not put this in the link. I may put this in the link in the description for our YouTube channel. But I saw and I sent it to you. I saw a video of, I think it has to be like a Scottish Congress, right, on questioning whether America is a functioning democracy. And it was a pretty telling and damning sort of thing, right? In the sense that who is this guy?
I don't know. It looks like we have
great podcast guy. Yeah, who's that guy commenting on our podcast? Yeah, no. So what this guy posted was he talked about how America may not be a functioning democracy anymore, and I thought it was a very kind of a telling testimonial, in a sense that, like, how do democracies die, right? Not, overnight, but through periods of time, right? And we had a situation recently, right, where we just got rid of a woman's right to choose what is best for her body, right? This was made possible by one president who was impeached twice and lost the popular vote twice, got to pick 3 Supreme Court justices, right? And over the last 50 years, like, Republicans who've lost more elections but has got to choose more Supreme Court justices than Democrats, right? And it's a very telling thing. One of the things he also pointed out in his speech too is that America, to be president, you have to spend at least $2 billion, right? Like, that's what it costs to become president, $2 billion, right? And it's just extremely telling, right? That this is kind of our democracy, right? We don't have health care for women, right? But we force them to have babies. You don't
universal
need we don't have universal health care. Oh, you don't, to win the election, you don't need the majority of the vote. You don't, right? You just need to win the electoral college, right? I think I played on the show earlier, right? Like, in our earlier shows, right? Trump only lost to the popular vote to Hillary Clinton by like 2.7 million, and Biden beat Trump by 8 million. But in the electoral college, like, that amount was just switched, right? Like you don't really see that reflected
Yeah.
in the rhetorical college, right? Which is again very, very telling and very, very damning, right? So I thought it was pretty interesting to kind of point out, and I just kind of wanted just to bring that up. And what are your thoughts? Like, are we a functioning democracy?
I mean, so I'm not even sure we're public, right? I mean, you think about the different types of government anyway, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we're not really we're a democracy in the sense that like we have people who are,
we have
they
elections.
vote. Yeah, we have elections, and they
Yeah,
have people who represent us in the government. But it seems like, at least lately, like a lot of some of the decisions that there are more about furthering their own agendas than making things better for the city. So I think that's when I saw that video, that's what I started thinking about. It's just like it seems some of the things they're doing is just to keep themselves in power. Hey, I want to make sure I'm still here, so I this. Hey, we need to make sure we get rid of this. We need to make sure we keep that around. You know what I mean? Some of the questionable at this point. It doesn't seem like they have the populace's best interest in mind anymore.
yeah,
Some of the issues with that we have with guns. Steve Kerr came out and he was like, there's this bill that's been sitting there on the Senate floor for about I think it was just like more security checks or more background checks or something.
yeah,
That help make it more difficult to buy guns, but it's just sitting there, and it's
yeah,
I mean, like, understand that you may have a different philosophy, your political beliefs or whatever, but at the end of the day, some of these things, well, that's what the people need, right? We're literally out here crying out for, and nothing's happened for decades. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So and then the clip was also talking about the amount of debt that the country has to take is insane at this point. As I think he said, obviously his more than likely, and I have no idea, but we do know that the number starts with a T, as in trade. So, let's just say that if you and I managed our money like this country did, we'd be out in the streets more than likely. You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely.
but yeah, I mean, we're in an interesting position because it's like the country has been in a position of power for so long in the world. It's like it's almost like corrupted by it a little bit, and we're just kind of skating
Yeah,
by at this point.
yeah,
We're right. We don't before decades ago we were building things and we were making like we just consume. We just buy. Like our entire
mhm.
economy is really so. It's there's some merit I think to what he said. I mean, obviously we're still as a country. There's some areas that we really need to take like a hard look at what we're doing and where we're going. Even thinking about the way that we right. I mean we can't even really agree on that either, right? About
Mhm.
the there's we have and whether or not we should be teaching teaching about schools. You have people out there is like, well, that's gonna make white kids feel. It's like that's not the point. You know what I mean? We have to point out these things because that's what's happened. You can also point out the fact that white and black people work together to challenge slavery, right? To try to get rid of
Yeah,
it. That's also a very, very important piece of the picture as well. You know what I mean? We're not just talking about. You have to, teach the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we've got some work to do.
yeah. I mean, yeah, about the your statement too about like whenever we talk about race, like when it's about making white people feel bad or whatever, right? What's telling about that to me is that, like, as someone who grew up as a Muslim, no one gave a damn about how a Muslim would feel, right, when we're talking about, you know, Islamic radicalism, right? Um,
Yeah.
and at the same time, I'm all for like telling the truth, right? You know, Islamic radicals attacked us on 9/11, right? Um, of course, the full truth in that too is that they have ties to Mujahideen, which were being funded by the United States to help fight Russia in like the 80s. That's a whole other thing that we can talk about later. But like, tell the truth, right? Tell the whole truth. That's the only way that you move past these kind of things, right? And they don't even want to get there, right? They're just like, um, yeah, this the statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest is about history, right? Like, of course, the full history is that he was the first, general or the Grand Wizard of like the KKK. Like that's his history that they don't want to talk about. But
Yep.
yeah, it's really really just frustrating and just makes you just want to. If I could rip my hair out, I would. I can't though, thankfully.
But that's why I mean, it's statements like that and things like that that get you thinking, right? And what you can do, right? And
Mhm.
obviously, as a citizen in this country, the one thing is your vote. You gotta vote.
Yep.
You want to
Yep.
have a voice?
And it's
You gotta vote. You know what I
that's
mean?
telling too because there's so much going against taking people's right to vote too, right? We saw right after
They're
the
trying.
election last year all these voter laws, right? So yeah.
They're really trying to limit the vote again. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
what I can appreciate about being in this time, that stuff is made public like very quickly. Like
Hmm.
when something like that happens, when people start to out, I mean, because of social media and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a positive from social.
Yeah. As long as we can keep that up though, right? As long as we can um not forget about it. I think the problem with kind of where we are today in terms of social media is that um we think activism is a sort of virtue signaling online, and that's not real
Yeah,
activism, right? Which is something that we
yeah,
kind of do now. I mean, American made by immigrant shirt on, um, but yeah, hopefully we spend enough time to voice our displeasures online. But when we're going out and we're voting for the people that will invoke the change that we're trying to see, right? Um, But yeah, that's just my 2000. I wanted to just kind of mention that a little bit. I thought that was um, very, very telling to
yeah.
see.
I mean, that's we're here, and I'm myself, right? And
Hmm.
I feel like the cultures and folks I feel like they have a better understanding of what's going on around the world than most Americans do. Interesting to
Yeah.
see what they think of this country, what people outside of the U.S. think of this country, because here we're the most powerful nation in the world. Da, 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 da. But you go outside the country, and I mean, y'all are this fat and lazy, and rich. Americans are rich
Yeah.
and this and that. You know what I mean?
Entitled.
It's
Entitled.
entitled. Yeah, yeah,
Very entitled.
man.
Right.
So
Um. Yeah. Hopefully, it's a very telling thing. So I do hope that we could kind of snap out of it. I hope this is not the end. I honestly felt like this was kind of getting closer to the end of our democracy when the pandemic happened and we were arguing about wearing masks and shit. Like that was the argument. Like the mask, right? And they're like, well, f these liberals. I'm going to take ivermectin, not a vaccine because blah blah blah. And I'm like,
no, the
oh my
signal
god.
for me and before you got people losing elections that refuse to admit that they lost.
Oh yeah.
Right?
And try to
That's
and
the
try to
scary part. You know what I mean? And then they
and,
try to
and try to have a
incite a
coup.
riot.
Yeah, and they tried to have a coup. Tried to make a coup.
You think
Oh,
about that, man.
let's talk about that for half a second, right? So, the coup attempt. So, um, like, Trump's former like national security advisor, I think his name is Bolton, right? Went on and admitted essentially because a lot of people tried to compare this to a coup, right? Like Trump tried to throw a coup for the United States, and he's like, "Well, this isn't a coup because it wasn't well planned." And the guy essentially openly admits, like, "Yeah, I've planned a couple of coups during like my during my tenure," and I'm like, "Are you really saying the quiet part out loud?" Is like, are you just admitting to everyone that you planned coups? And he also mentioned like Venezuela, right? This is no
Yeah.
like this is news. This is not news. Like we've United States have intervened in many elections, including in South America and Cuba, in all those areas. We've tried to intervene and install people that are more favorable towards us. It's actually very similar to the Suicide Squad movie, Quantum Martis, right? Where
Mm.
um, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of movies make reference to this, right? The Suicide Squad movie,
Yeah.
James Bond, Quantum of Solace make a lot of reference to the United States getting involved with like regime changes in like South America. So I thought it was pretty interesting how this guy literally just came up and was like, "Oh yeah, I planned a coup, and it's not a coup because it wasn't well planned, right?" Which is typical of Trump in the sense that, like, of course he'll probably try to plan a coup in like 2 weeks, right after he found out he lost the election, right?
Yeah.
But whatever. I digress. Um, whatever. Here we are.
Head at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you just have to shake your
yeah.
head at it sometimes, man.
You do have to shake your head at it.
It's sad.
I'm trying to check to see who's watching us on Instagram because our Instagram's a little bit. What can I say? Like we don't get like a lot of like it's not centered, right? So if you look at us on Instagram now, this is what they see. Like to kind of like
You see the
yeah.
shoulder and my ceiling.
Yeah, and your ceiling. So I'm still working on that. We'll figure that out eventually. But yeah. Well, I'm all tapped out. What else you got for us, Nicholas, for the show?
I am tapped out as well. I had something on my mind. Oh yeah, I gotta say that, and now I forgot. So the only things that I had to add with you and the Elliot Page.
Yeah. Did I tell you too? I actually had Elliot Page was formerly Ellen Page, right? And I had a little thing for Ellen Page. I thought she was like super cool, right? Especially in Inception. Inception, yes.
She was in Juno too.
She was in Juno. She actually had we're talking Ellen Page, right? She was in Juno, right? And she actually got an Oscar for it, but now she's Elliot Page. I haven't watched Umbrella Academy. Apparently, Elliot he has kind of praised kind of what they're going with that in that show and kind of given that storyline. So I may watch it.
They gave him they addressed it in one episode or whatever, and she was kind of to the rest of the family, and basically was like, you know, he had some lines in there or whatever, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the family was pretty much just like, yeah, okay, you know, but it didn't. I don't think it really hurt from the story. They only spent a few minutes on it, but it was a make a statement, which I thought was good.
Okay, cool.
I appreciate that.
Cool. All right. Well, we can go ahead and call it. Thank you guys so much for joining and watching us. Much appreciated. As we still try to figure out this this format and kind of figuring out like things to do. It just occurred to me too that we can probably play videos on live stream too, which is interesting. Is that we probably could have, if I had planned this properly, I probably could have played the video of the guy, um,
Oh, you
making
should have.
that
Yeah.
talk. Yeah, I didn't think about it. It just occurred to me like just now, like 2 minutes ago. And I was like, oh shit, I probably could have done that. Right there's actually a way. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. So good stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting us. Please like, comment, subscribe. On any platform, if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram, or well, not Instagram because you can't see, you're only seeing my shoulder on Instagram. I apologize for that. But you're only seeing our shoulders and shit.
I feel like, you know what? It might be I think it might be like the aspect ratio or something like that.
Well, it's the way Instagram shares videos. They share it in a phone format. Instagram is purely for your phone. It's not for anything else, right? So
Gotcha.
if there is a way that I could place us one, like, you know how I can drag and have us switch sides, right, between left and right, like this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a way we can have a view when it's just top to bottom, right?
Gotcha.
And that would essentially fix that, but I'm not sure how to do that. So, yep, I will continue to do some research and kind of figure that out, and we'll fix that, and we'll start showing properly on Instagram. So,
All right.
okay, cool. Well, thank you guys so much. You guys have a very wonderful evening. Thank you guys for rocking with us, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.
Later.